My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe you know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this, we are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. The truth. The sacred cause of this country is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much. A cause of American democracy itself. Must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence. Our planet from climate crisis is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it because we can do it. I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong and secure and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. We came together as Americans. We got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. And today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea is stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders had given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
July 25th, 2024. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you may be listening to this broadcast. Yet another day, and yet another speech, an explanation, if you will, a stepping down, a exit from the world stage, from your king, your president, Joe Biden. An exit speech, a passing off, if you will, as he has played his part, he has played his character. He's going to finish his term with much power in his hand, and we shall see very, very soon who will be the next so-called President of the United States. And what a speech this was, people. What a speech this was. There was a lot of important things said in this speech. If you were listening, you would find these things, you would see these things. Some of these things I talked about yesterday, and some of these things I have talked about in videos well before this right here. And that's the importance of knowing what these people who established this country, what they have spoken, what they have said. Because all the safeguards and every single thing that these men said and documented, they're all there to protect the country. And as Biden said, it's in your hands, it's in your power as the American person. It's in your power, it's in your hand, but we don't act like that in America. Instead, we've had state-run churches put fear in us that we have to obey everything our government says, even when it goes against the true government, the true law of the land, which is, again, the document. I keep saying this, but people don't seem to understand. It's the document of the Constitution of the United States of America. That is the power. That is what you are to submit under. That is the governing body. And the power's been given to you, American citizen, to hold those people accountable who, quote unquote, represent you. We don't do that in America anymore. We don't do that in America anymore. We're pacifists, we're effeminate, we're limp-wristed, we're ballless as men. All we care about is our sports and our beer. All we care about is our entertainment. All we care about is our toys, so to speak. We don't care about anything that's important in this country anymore. And it's been done through time, people. It's been done through time. Where they're going to get it to basically where you're just, Americans will just accept whatever happens. Some will fight, but most will not fight for anything. One of the things that he kept, one of the most important things in that speech, people, is he gave you a precursor to what is coming and what you people and everyone listening should already know. But again, the actor on screen, the puppet on screen is telling you beforehand. Donald Trump is telling you beforehand. They're all saying the same things. If I don't get in, this country's over. That's what Biden and Harris say. But Donald Trump says, if I don't get in, it's over. The country's over. It's over. It doesn't matter who you get, people. Does not matter who you get. And if you listen to the video yesterday, you understand why you don't get anything different if Donald Trump is in office. Because he's going to give all the power to law enforcement to do whatever they want to do, basically. How are they going to search out all these immigrants, people? How will they search them all out? How will they round them all up? Don't you think that's going to entail something bad for you, the American person? And I can tell you how it's going to be bad. How it'll make it easier for him to do that is just invoke the Insurrection Act. And Kamala Harris has openly stated that she's coming for your guns if you get her So either way, you lose. The only way you don't lose is if mass amounts of people started waking up and demanded all these people be overthrown. And demanded all these people be outed. And we got some real people in there. We got some real born-again Christians in there. That's the only hope you have for your country, people. I know that sounds very far-fetched, because it is. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But that's the only way your country would make it. All these criminals, all these members of the secret societies, all these people in power were demanded that they leave. And remember this, people, there's more of us than there are of them. And they know that. But they use their tactics. They use their magic. They use their witchcraft. They use all those things to keep us paralyzed, to keep the people paralyzed from rising up. Women don't have a right to murder their child. You don't have a choice to kill your child. They don't have a right to murder people. And again, like I said, Donald Trump, he's pro-murder. He's pro-murder, people. Whether you want to hear that or not, he's pro-murder. He's for it. But that's the only way that this nation can truly turn around, is if all these criminals were commanded to step aside and were thrown off their places of power. That's the only way. We are the most armed people on the face of the earth. The United States of America has the largest standing militia because we have the people most armed. That's why the government fears the American people. That's why the government just doesn't come in and do whatever they want. They do it systematically. I keep talking about this. It's why they can't just make their move whenever they want to. But they've been doing it systematically, step by step, and over a long span of time. But that's what you have to understand. That is the only way this country could survive. He said this: America is at an affliction point. Our fate decided on moving forward, backward, hope, hate, unity, and division. Well, there is no unity. And the reason there's no unity is because of severe immorality. Severe immorality. That's why there's not unity. That's why there can't be unity. Because our society is so immoral. Our society is so corrupted by drunkenness and drug use and idolatry and homosexuality and violence and murder. And it's all by design. It's all by design. That's why there can't be unity, people, because of the immorality that has taken place, that has sprung up. And the reason because of that is because the Christian has not done his job. The so-called Christian hasn't done his job, hasn't been a voice, hasn't preached righteousness, hasn't stood in the gap, hasn't standed in the gap and made up the hedge. The Christian church has been corrupted by the world. It has allowed the world to influence it. So the Christian church is corrupt and been infiltrated. And we've been infiltrated on all sides. And that's why there can't be unity. And now hate, as you know, hate is that of which speaks right. Is that of which speaks aright, right? They abhor him that speaketh uprightly. They hate those that preach righteousness, that stand for righteousness. Because righteousness exalts a nation, sin is a reproach to any people. There's nothing righteous about a baby murdering supporter. Nothing righteous about that. Righteousness always does right. Always does right. Always speaks right. Forward or backward? Their definition of forward is backward. I'll say that again. Their definition of forward is backward. Because they want to strip you of everything you have. Affliction. We're at an affliction point. That's right out of the horse's mouth, ladies and gentlemen. We are at an affliction point. We're at the end of the road. We're at the end of the line. The writing is on the wall. And Joe Biden lets you know that. He lets you know that. The next most telling thing that kept sticking out as he kept calling the country a democracy. As I talked about yesterday, there is a difference between a republic and a democracy. The United States of America is not a republic. It is not a democracy. The United States of America is not a democracy, people. Yet these people, like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, call us a democracy. I have some quotes here from some of the people that are looked up to greatly in this nation, talking about democracy. Thomas Jefferson said, quote, "A democracy is nothing more than mob rule, where 51% of the people may take away the rights of the other 49. John Quincy Adams said, quote, "Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself." He said, John Quincy Adams said this, "The experience of all former ages had shown that of all human governments, democracy was the most unstable, fluctuating, and short-lived. End quote. Thomas Jefferson said, quote, a government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take away everything you have. Thomas Paine said, quote, the duty of a true patriot is to protect his country from his government. And we've allowed government to overreach and become way too big. Way too big. And while we've been sitting around stuffing our face and not paying attention, they have been at work. They have been at work round the clock. And they call this country a democracy. This is not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. That is what we are as a people. But they have us convinced otherwise. They have us convinced we are a democracy when we are indeed not. He said, character, does it matter? And in this hour, it does not. And he was talking about Donald Trump when he said that, because of the 34 felonies or whatever. But literally, he's mocking the American public when he says that. Because all of these people have very poor character. They're all criminals. They're all criminals. They're all crafty businessmen. They're all deceptive. They're all liars. They're all great magicians up there. They are all molded and trained to take the place of power in which they have. And as I exposed yesterday, Donald Trump's many pseudo-names, proving the fact that he can play many different characters, proving the fact that he is playing a character even this very day with you. And that's for all these people. They are playing a character. They are playing a role. There is an obvious evil character, and then there is a what would appear to be an angel of light, but is not. In that which you have the Republican Party. Again, remember, these are 2 feet of the same person on the march to tyranny. Republican and Democrat are 2 feet of the same person on the march to tyranny. That's where we're marching towards. That's where we're almost there, people. And if you don't wake up, you're going to be deceived by this. And if you are buying into a Republican-Democrat paradigm, you already are deceived. So don't think you're above deception. Because the most deceptive card they can give you is Donald Trump, people. He's the most deceptive card they can give you because he speaks to everything you people want. Just like he did last time. He spoke to everything you want. But behind the scenes, he was dirty, he was wicked, he was a liar and a betrayer. The United States is a republic, not a democracy. And we must be on guard, and we must be paying attention. Because these liars on screen are setting people up for the fall. They're looking to herd you as cattle. They are looking to deceive you. And they will deceive you very easily if you are not paying attention. If you don't understand who your enemy is. It's important to understand who your enemy is. When I went to combat overseas, the United States Marine Corps, it was important to know my enemy, so to speak. And the importance of that so I could fight. I could know how to engage. I could know how to go about it. And those were wars, as I have always stated and will continue to state, that are 100% completely bogus. Chasing boogeymen in caves and going through villages of people under the guise that these people are being suppressed by the Taliban. Under the guise of a lie. All formed up from one gigantic lie. All formed up from one mass sacrifice of thousands of people. All formed up by criminals like George Bush and Dick Cheney. Traitors is what they are. Committing treason against their own people. Deceiving their own people. And sending us on a 20-year campaign only to find no weapons of mass destruction. And to pull out of a country 20 years later. For what, people? For what? Just like Vietnam. Just like Vietnam. Sent there to try to police. Sent there to try to protect assets. And in the process, losing men and women, sons and daughters, all under the guise of, we're doing it to protect our people. We're doing it to protect and preserve our freedom. What a lie from the pit of hell, people. What a lie from the pit of hell. Quite amazing. Quite amazing how these types of events affect people more than you realize. These types of events affect an entire nation. These types of events affect people so greatly. That people will give their life, they will burn their body for a lie. What a shameful, wicked thing. Joe Biden said he quoted a Ben Franklin quote that I've been talking about quite frequently here. It's a republic if you can keep it. As he throws it right out in your face, people. It's a republic if you can keep it. And notice how he says there, it's a republic. And then a few minutes, seconds later, 30 seconds, a minute later, he talked about keeping the faith and preserving our democracy. So out of one side of his mouth, he quotes Ben Franklin, who says, it's a republic if you can keep it. And out of the other side of his mouth, he says, preserve our democracy. We don't need to preserve our democracy. We need to preserve the Republic of the United States of America, because that's what we are. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is that not what it says? They have brainwashed and lied and said the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again so many times that the American public has accepted it. That is magic, people. That is witchcraft. Make the lie big. Quote from Adolf Hitler, make the lie big. Keep it simple. Say it over and over again. Say it over and over again, and the people will believe it. Isn't that what we have here with the whole, we're a democracy? They've said it over and over again, and now you believe it. You believe you're a democracy. So he quotes Ben Franklin. It's a republic if you can keep it. And then seconds later, minute later, says, we must preserve our democracy. People, you need to wake up to these truths. I don't know how it can be any clearer. Donald Trump calls this a democracy, and so does Biden, so does Harris, so do all these people. The same ones that are representing you don't, and the same party that represents you that says it's Republican, out of the other side of its mouth will call this nation a democracy. How simple does this have to be for you, the listener, to realize that these people all are working together? There's been no other nation in the history of man like the United States of America, where the people have been empowered. The people are the rule of law. Yes, there are representatives, but they are to yield to the people. But it has become the other way around. And so, with that being said, I agree. We are a democracy because we've given up our republic. And that's what people don't understand, that they've given up their republic. And that's why it's already over. And you'll say, well, it's not over. It's quiet. It's peaceful at my home, and there's no wars going on here, and this and that. Well, there's not yet, people. It's quiet now. Sure, it's quiet now. But one day, as I've stated before, this will affect you. What these people believe and what they're doing does and will affect you. it will affect you. And I would say it is affecting you. And the way it's affecting you is the people are paralyzed. They're paralyzed. They've got people at a point where they're just so careless about everything, they could literally do whatever they want. That's what I truly believe, people. They could literally do whatever they want. And I'm telling you, people, they are going to do it. And the way that this is going and the language that is being used, and I'm going to end on this, the way that this is going, the way that this is being propagated, the way that this is being spun, the things that are being said and how they are gearing it towards is another September 11th, not on this date, but another September 11th scale attack. Scale false flag event. Again, I'm not saying they're going to do it on that date. I'm just simply saying the way that they are gearing everything up, you will be witnessing somewhere very soon down the line a 9/11 scale event. And I personally believe it's going to be worse than that. I personally believe far more people will perish because of whatever they're planning to do. And I'm telling you, people, the lengths that these wicked people will go to accomplish their goal, you have no idea. If you've been paying attention, you have an idea. But if you're listening and you're on the fence with all this stuff, you have no idea what is coming. It's going to affect you majorly. And that's why I'm saying through these messages, you need to deprogram yourself from this paradigm, this system. Otherwise, you will partake in this 1984 system that they're going to roll out on the American people. Yes, the 1984 system is 1984 is a book written by George Orwell. And it's basically depicts what a new world order will look like. And so if you have not read that book and you'll have time, and I suggest you read it. Educate yourself through that. Because it's predictive programming. No more nor less than predictive programming. But that is the society that you're looking at. That is the society that's coming. There is no going back, as these wicked liars, these deceivers, these sellouts, these traitors, these criminals have said. So, until next time, my friends, good night and good luck.